Exposition of 1900. But his plans were even more ambitious.
I came to the conclusion that it would be ultimately possible, with very little elevation, to transmit electrical power through the upper atmosphere.
Just outside the city, he constructed an experimental station with sliding roof panels. A quote in Italian from Dante's Inferno hung by the entrance of the strange wooden structure. It read, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here." During the construction phase, Tesla studied lightning.
Now, I can understand Tesla's fascination with it, because what happens in lightning is that electricity is being transmitted from one place to another. Electric power, not just electric signals, but real electric power is being transmitted from one place to another. And the way it happens is that the air itself breaks down, it ionizes, it becomes what we call a plasma, and therefore for a moment it's a conductor, and it's actually conducting electricity just the way an electric wire conducts electricity.
Inside the station, he began to assemble the largest Tesla coil ever built, which he called the magnifying transmitter. An antenna rose 145 feet above the building, crowned with a copper foil sphere. The entire station was, in effect, a machine to create lightning. Late one evening, Tesla put his transmitter to the test. He signaled to an assistant to close the switch. Huge streamers of electricity shot out of the coil and darted through the room. The sound of the exploding discharges was deafening. Outside, above the building, bursts of artificial lightning, more than 100 feet long, began to shoot out at the ball atop the antenna. Its thunder could be heard 20 miles away in the small mining town of Cripple Creek. Suddenly, the lightning stopped, and the entire city of Colorado Springs was plunged into darkness. The experiment had set fire to and destroyed the local power company's generator. Residents were furious and began to fear this mysterious stranger. Undaunted, Tesla continued his wireless power experiments for 6 more months. Late one night, an unusual event took place. Tesla noticed a repeating signal being received by his apparatus. To his own amazement, he believed it was an extraterrestrial communication. In a letter to the American Red Cross, he wrote,
"Brothers, we have a message from another world. It reads, 1, 2, 3.
The press had a field day.
If the mystical 1, 2, 3 was impulsed from Mars, as Tesla says, they certainly showed most excellent taste in choosing Colorado Springs. It is a rule in inventional science. When you're going to tell one, tell a good one. And men have become great in this way. Colorado Springs Gazette.
Though widely ridiculed for his claim, Tesla may have been the first to detect radio waves from space.
I believe that Tesla could have gotten these signals from space. We are getting them today, and these are the radio telescopes. That's what radio telescopes do today, receive signals from space. They're not from alien civilizations, but they are from the sun and from the stars.
On January 7th, 1900, Tesla boarded a train back to New York City. Perhaps he had mastered the power of lightning, or at least that's what he believed.
The law which I discovered in Colorado is wonderful, and it means that results undreamed of before will be possible as soon as a large plant is constructed in accordance with my plan. See the excitement coming.
When Tesla arrived home, it was a brand new century. Electricity was fueling the tremendous growth of the city. And now, there was talk in the air about the new art of wireless communication. Marconi arrived in New York in 1900 to attract investors for his new company, Marconi-America. He filed a U.S. patent for a system of wireless telegraphy, but it was rejected because it was similar to Tesla's invention.
It became obvious, I think, to Marconi as well as to other experimenters of the time that the Tesla system was an efficient, powerful resonator that would produce electromagnetic waves that you could work with.
Confident in the future, Tesla took up residence in the Waldorf Astoria Hotel and wrote a sensational article for Century magazine.
First, let us ask, what is the spring that drives all? All this energy emanates from one single center, one single source, the sun.
In this detailed futuristic vision, he described a means of tapping the sun's energy with an antenna. He suggested that it would be possible to control the weather with electrical energy. He predicted that wars would soon be eliminated by machines. And to unite all nations, he proposed a global system of wireless communications.
When wireless is fully applied, the Earth will be converted into a huge brain, capable of response in every one of its parts.
It tells us about a vision he had for both power and communications, that he wasn't going to think small. He was going to think globally on this. And that's all very nice if it works.
The idea of a global communications network was very appealing to one of the world's most powerful men, J. Pierpont Morgan. He agreed to invest $150,000 into Tesla's worldwide radio broadcast center. But the inventor's real plan was to transmit without wires industrial levels of electrical power. Tesla chose to keep this a secret from his investor. In the summer of 1900, Tesla moved to Shoreham, Long Island, and began construction of a huge tower and plant called Wardenclyffe. This Tower of Dreams was made entirely of large wood beams and rose 187 feet above the ground. The plant next to the tower was designed by the architect Stanford White and was constructed under strict secrecy.
He certainly could have sent signals across the Atlantic with no trouble with a station of that magnitude. But he was still pursuing wireless power transmission. The tower would light up at night, shooting sparks, making noises. Such experiments, they alarmed the whole area.
Then, on December 8, 1901, Marconi took another step forward and transmitted his famous letter S across the Atlantic. Tesla dismissed the Italian's advances.
Marconi is a good fellow. Let him continue. He is using 17 of my patents.
The simple fact about Marconi is that he used Tesla's system to transmit signals and claimed that these were ideas that he had developed himself.
Morgan began to doubt the wisdom of his investment. Marconi's system not only worked, it was also inexpensive. And technical problems were beginning to catch up with Tesla.
He went back to Morgan again, asked for more money. Morgan says, "Where's the radio transmissions across the Atlantic? How's that coming along?" Well, it wasn't coming along.
Tesla was forced to tell Morgan his real plan.
What I contemplate and what I can certainly accomplish, Mr. Morgan, is not a simple transmission of messages, but rather the worldwide transmission of electrical power. A single plant of but 100 horsepower can operate hundreds of millions of instruments.
But Morgan was a practical businessman and had already decided to back Marconi.
I have received your letter, and in reply would say that I should not feel disposed at present to make any further advances. J. Pierpont Morgan.
Word spread rapidly that the investor had pulled out of Wardenclyffe, and Tesla was financially ruined. Late one night in 1903, the residents of Shoreham were astonished to see bright light emanating from the tower and an effect in the air like the aurora borealis. But in fact, Tesla could not transmit wireless power.
And his major defect was he was dreaming, but he was doing very few calculations on paper. Because on paper he could have realized that you can transmit power, but not very much power. You can transmit power to hear the radio or for television or for a telephone. But once you want to start to turn in lights in which you really need high currents, the power gets diluted because space is very large.
To his dying day, Tesla believed it could be done.
It is not a dream. It is a simple feat of scientific electrical engineering, only expensive. Blind, faint-hearted, doubting world.
Wardenclyffe marked a turning point in Tesla's career. Like a modern Prometheus, he had reached too high and failed. In 1904, the U.S. Patent Office suddenly reversed its previous decisions and gave Marconi a patent for radio. 1 year later, Tesla's fundamental AC patents expired. Now the inventions that powered the world could be used by anyone free of charge.
The public didn't realize that he had made this invention that had made billionaires out of corporations, and that he himself was broke.
With no money to carry on his work, Tesla began to sink into an isolated world.
He was totally disinterested in business. I think it not necessarily bored him, but he didn't make the relationship between the importance of business and the importance of his invention and discovery.
Occasionally, he was seen in public parks feeding the pigeons.
These are my sincere friends.
Tesla's melancholy turned to anger in 1909 when Marconi was awarded a Nobel Prize.
Mr. Marconi is a donkey.
The question of Tesla and radio is certainly a very interesting one. It's clear that Tesla, in terms of certain basic notions of radio, was very early, if not first, in expressing them and even of getting of taking them to the patent stage.
In desperate need of money, Tesla brought suit against the Marconi company, claiming that his patent rights had been infringed. But he lacked the resources to wage a legal battle with a large corporation, and ultimately gave up.
Marconi had received the Nobel Prize for work that Tesla correctly believed to be his own.
I suppose everything is fair in wireless as in warfare.
In 1915, the Nobel Prize entered Tesla's life once again.
The Swedish government has decided to distribute the Nobel Prizes next week as follows. Physics, Thomas A. Edison and Nikola Tesla.
Even Tesla was surprised by the front page announcement in the New York Times.